This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendo. Great to be back here. Thanks for joining us as always. And yeah, the year's in full swing, and we're going to get the show going immediately. Starting off with the economy, I'm joined now by financial expert Sheun Idowu. Let's talk about, what 2025 is going to be looking like with regards to, the economy, inflation, and all of those things. How are you doing?
Very well, Ebuka.
Yeah, I want us to get into this because a lot of us are stressed by how 2024 shaped up. A lot of the analysis I heard from people who understand how the economy works last year, both formally and informally, kept talking about the fact that 2025 might be worse than 2024. That we're just seeing the beginning of some of these things. We're going to feel the effects of even more food scarcity this year. But as the year has started, I'm starting to hear a different tune from a lot of you guys saying, oh, things might start looking stable. What exactly is it? What does 2025 look like for you?
Well, I see a very positive and optimistic 2025, really. I know 2024 has been a very tough one for everyone, especially for the vulnerable one at the socio-economic, ladder. So it was very tough. So 2025, we'll get to start seeing the impact of these reforms, right, having effect. Maybe not in full force as it is, but gradually we start seeing those effects actually creeping into the economy as it is. It was a big shocker for a lot of things that were really done last year. A lot of people felt it. Everyone typically felt it, but it was very necessary as a government, and it was something that we had to do as a country. And I'm positive for Nigeria in 2025, things would definitely ramp up and things will stabilize gradually.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, 2023, 2024 were very tough for people. The subsidy was removed. Fuel prices increased. The electricity bills went triple. I'm one of the band A people. So it was like an attack from all corners.
Definitely.
When you say things are going to stabilize, does it mean we're going to see lower prices in any way, or are we just going to have to get used to what this reality is now?
Well, it's a Nigerian syndrome. I would say we are already used to what it is right now. We only get to I don't think it's going to get worse than what it has been in 2024. But we will see things around reforms around. We could talk about the tax reforms currently going on. We could talk about the different interventions that the government is taking to sort of ease out the pressure on the low-income earners in the country. Those are the kind of things you will see to sort of stabilize those that are very, very that are affected by this, by the economic situation. We might not see the forecast even from what do you call it, Nigeria exchange rate standpoint seems to be a little bit, stable in terms of being within an average for the year. And those are some of the indications that will show that, okay, we'll have stability, and then the data can also, show that that's going to happen this year.
I mean, all of this, I think inflation was the one thing a lot of Nigerians couldn't, cope with.
Yeah.
The price of things every day, sometimes in a day, you see two prices for the same product.
Definitely.
And we got figures from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics at the start of this year for the 2024 inflation numbers, 34.8%. That's about a 5% increase from year on year from 2023. Food inflation went up to 39.84%. What role did all of these government policies play in these figures we hear? And do we see inflation? Because government is talking about 15% inflation by the end of this year. Most people don't know how that's supposed to happen, even though we're here maybe because they're going to rebase CPI, the CPI back to starting from 2024. Did these policies play a role in this? Was it just a factor of a lot of the global trends we're seeing?
Yeah, I think the policies that happened last year played a role in increasing the inflation rate drastically. We could start from the fact that the announcement around the subsidies that happened on the petroleum products, immediately threw up the products, and we could see the effect on transportation costs, and that gives effect on the prices of foodstuff for households.
Yeah, and that food is very, sorry to cut you, because the food inflation part was very particular for a lot of people.
Yes, definitely.
No matter what you do, you have to eat.
Definitely.
And it was basic things. One of the most staple foods in Nigeria is rice.
Exactly.
rice suddenly is almost unaffordable for a lot of people. You give people 2 cups of rice and they're dancing in front of your gates. 39.84%. Are we seeing a trend this year that might show a difference? We hear all of these stories still about, the belts of Nigeria where a lot of our food comes from. There's still talks of insecurity. We don't know what the supply chain still looks like, storage, distribution. Still coupled with inflation, what are the indicators you sort of see for 2025 with regards to food in particular?
Yeah, I think definitely the government has a lot of things in place as regards food security in Nigeria generally. And that's one of the things that has caused, the prices of food coming from the northern regions to be extremely very high. We can also talk about the climate issues right there. And some of these things, we see that government is actually highly invested in sort of, bringing in technology into that sector, into the agricultural sector. And we expect that such kind of move is going to definitely improve, the output that we're getting from food. Also, we expect that there will be definitely some interventions as regards infrastructure infrastructure as regards poor road network for this food to be transported to where they can be sold. And those are some of the things that we're seeing that will improve some of these things as we see right now. And in terms of even private sector, we're actually seeing a trend where people are seeing more opportunities in the agro-processing sector of the agricultural business, where people want to really invest into it and they want to really take advantage of the opportunities that lies in that sector. We have a lot of food wastage in recent times, and then when you have private investors or private individuals going into agri-businesses, ensuring that this food gets from the farm and gets to the table of Nigerians, at that point we've been able to eliminate a lot of the food wastages that we are having, and then we can see some prices of this food sort of coming down drastically. Recently we can talk about, I read recently about the issue with the ginger issue, with the blight issue on it, how the price went up about 200% and thereabout. Those are some climatic factors you cannot sort of, there are climatic factors you can't say you want to forecast or something, but there are certain, mitigations that can be done to sort of reduce some of those things when we improve on the infrastructure that is being used to cultivate this agricultural product.
Yeah, we're all just hoping that a lot of those things fall in place. But almost like food, the one thing that of course a lot of Nigerians rely on as well is petroleum products, fuel in particular. The Dangote refinery finally came on stream. We started seeing some sort of stability and even decrease. I think it went down to about 930 Naira per litre at some point. But I woke up to news this morning, I think it was yesterday, about fuel price increases to 1,150 per litre after Dangote refinery's hike. So, and a lot of people have voiced their concerns about the fear of what looks like a monopoly now, of what this refinery is going to mean for Nigerians, how they dictate prices and all of that. Is this not a worrisome trend we're seeing in the second week of January, where, prices, the refinery says, okay, this is what the prices are now. Do you think this is fueled, excuse the pun, by, oil prices internationally, or is this a unilateral decision we're going to have to deal with going forward with this refinery?
Yeah, I think one of the key things in terms of, the fuel prices is one of the things that created a lot of issues for us last year in terms of price stabilization. And I want to believe that a responsible government right now in Nigeria should look around stabilizing prices, especially when it comes to items like, fuel prices. Because one of the things you want to give investor confidence in your country is the predictability of the prices in the market. So this current trend we are having with different prices going here and there is not really a sustainable way for the economy to grow as it is right now. But I see that the prices will definitely stabilize. There are global factors that is sort of affecting these prices, and like I said, the prices of there are global factors that are affecting these prices. Give or take, we know we have our own production capacity issue in Nigeria, as well as what the prices in the market are actually saying. So I believe we are able to we are able to stabilize, and we'll be able to stabilize even without, the interventions of the Dangote refinery. I mean, our refineries are also getting up and running, and once those are actually up and running, I think we should be able to have a market where the prices are fairly stable in the market.
So, I mean, the one thing that I feel like the entire country sort of got in tune with all of a sudden this past year was tax conversations.
Yeah.
Nigeria doesn't necessarily have public conversation about tax. But last year we had a lot of the VAT and tax and the governors versus, the federal government and all of that. Now the FIRS, I think, generated 19.4 trillion in revenue the past year, 2024. Yeah. And now the National Assembly has given them a target basically of 25 trillion for 2025. And, Nigerians and tax is not a very comfortable conversation for us. Is this doable? Is it something Nigerians should look out for? I mean, a lot of people we say are guilty of not paying their fair share, some don't even pay at all. How do you see this being achieved?
Well, I think the issue of taxes is something that has been a problem in the country all along. And I think that what has also caused people not being very responsive to paying taxes is in terms of seeing the dividend of these taxes that they want to pay. So, I mean, I will say that it's more like the government needs to show people the reason why these taxes needs to be paid by improving our infrastructure.
Exactly. We need to see the tax working.
Exactly. So by improving our infrastructure, our good road network, improving security as much as we can, for people to really move around, ensuring that there is ease of doing business in the country, people are able to move around, ensure proper power supply, and all of those things. Those are the dividend of, that motivate people to paying taxes. I mean, I'm not going to say that, evading taxes is right, but, what we also as payers of those taxes also wants to have, those incentives to show that, yes, if I'm paying my taxes, I'm really seeing the reward, of the taxes that are being paid. Yeah.
So on a final note, now I want to talk about this GDP rebasing that's about to happen. I think we're going to get the figures in about 2 weeks. They said by the end of January, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. The new base year is 2019. We're currently number 4 or 5 are here now on the continent, down to about $290 billion or thereabouts, which means we've lost a good almost 300 billion of our figures from 2014. What should we look out for? What does this do for the economy? What kind of numbers do you think we're going to be seeing?
Well, I mean, with the rebasing, definitely it's a denominator, and that means that a lot of the metrics that we have sort of looked at before will look a bit better. I mean, in terms of someone will look at it from a tax to GDP metrics, for instance, for Nigeria, that happens to be one of the lowest in Africa. With the rebasing we're doing now, definitely it's going to come a bit lower, and that's just going to put a pointer to us that a lot of things still needs to be done, because we as a country, we look at these metrics and then we sort of make some decisions from it. But I think that it's we'll wait for it to come out. I think the indication is that it's going to come out by the end of this month, thereabout. And then by then, I guess a lot of people will be able to make quite a few number of inferences and insight from it.
Are the critics right? A lot of the critics have said it's just a cosmetic sort of, you're putting makeup on top of a pig, because the truth is, okay, so we suddenly jump now to 500, 600, 700 billion, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the realities are still the realities.
Exactly. I mean, we've just been doing makeup, for Nigeria generally. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of makeup things we've been doing here, where we are noticing that our real reality as a country is creeping in. I mean, looking at the prices of things last year, it's all a facade that we've been living on, that we think we're really enjoying. So someone is pulling the plugs, and then we're really seeing some realities happening. So I guess we will see it in real time, but people want to see, the people at the base level in the economy are not really moved by those
kind of numbers.
So yes. I think our focus should be, how are we really providing succor for the people at the vulnerable socio-economic levels.
Which is a lot of people now.
Yes, a lot of people, really. I mean, they're not
are...
interested in the rebasing. It's you and I that, the elites that understand this whole process of what we're trying to do and the economic market. But these guys don't understand. They want to go to the market and buy food that they can eat. And if the government is not able to do that, I mean, all of these things is just the cosmetics, like you said. To them, it is cosmetic. For us, we might be able to say, okay, this is where the economy is going to. But we need to emphasize on the fact that the food security issue, the cost of living issue, the disposable income issue, I mean, needs to be resolved. The poverty level in Nigeria seems to be very high at the moment. And I mean, this is not a focus for us at the moment to say, oh, what are we doing? Is it rebasing this GDP that is going to change the dial for the poor man? Or we trying to create more intervention to sort of ease off, this phase that we are in? Because, yes, if there are things we are going to say, okay, it's going to maybe want to change the economy in the long run, it's still going to take time.
Yeah.
It's still definitely going to take time. As positive as we can say about 2025, it's still going to be a very, very tough one, which is why I said, I mean, even whatever reforms that has been made or whatever changes that have been made for 2023 to 2024, the effect will be about, if I put it in a percentile, maybe about 10% of it or 5% of it might creep in this year, but it is what it is.
We'll take any percentage you can get.
I mean,
even if it's marginally better than what we saw in 2024. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Shinwido. We'll probably get you back at some point this year to see how things are shaping up. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Buka. Good to be here.
Don't just stand there teasing me.